Hello everyone, and welcome to the channel. First off, I want to start with a brief disclaimer. I am not a registered investment advisor. Everything in this video is my own opinion and may prove to be true or false in the future. I am an Aptera reservation holder and have a financial stake in both Aptera Motors and Tesla. The rest of my portfolio is comprised of genomic stocks. What is Aptera's master plan? When I first started looking into Aptera as a potential investment, one of my first questions was what their long-term product stack would look like. My gut assumption was that they would just be a one-trick pony autocycle EV company. However, further research proved me wrong. Aptera has set their sights much higher. Aptera's mission, paraphrased with some Tesla flair, is to accelerate the adoption of efficient and sustainable manufacturing processes, design and manufacture the most efficient electric vehicles on the market, reduce the energy needs of the automotive industry as a whole, and reduce humanity's carbon footprint. A very lofty goal. Needless to say, a single three-wheeled EV model won't allow Aptera to fulfill all of their goals. They will need to do more. Aptera unveiled their master plan in July of last year. In it, they showcased plans to manufacture not only three-wheeled EVs, but also four-wheeled sedans, crossovers, pickup trucks, and delivery trucks, as well as semis. Their timeline is very aggressive. I'm assuming that the date that they show for each of these models is not the date that they hope to start production or deliveries by, but rather, it is the date that they hope to have a working prototype unveiled by. If they are able to meet these aggressive deadlines, we will get the earliest look behind the curtain at some point in 2021, when they aim to unveil their second vehicle, the four-wheeled, highly aerodynamic 5-seat sedan. I think it is more likely we will see a prototype in 2022, but I would be happy to be proven wrong. It is great to see that Aptera has plans beyond their three-wheelers, and that they are not going to be wasting their three-wheeled advantage. There's a genius to making a three-wheeled vehicle first before moving on to cars. That genius is that Aptera can achieve profitability much sooner and with much less capital expenditure than if they started with four-wheeled vehicles. Four-wheeled vehicles are much more heavily regulated than three-wheelers and require much more capital to bring to market.
I mean, we are working on four-wheel EVs as well, but we can't, those are for bigger companies and we can't talk about them. But for the three-wheeled guys, you know, they don't have a whole bunch of lawyers and whatnot standing in the way of progress. So we're doing a lot with the three-wheeled community. I don't see any problem with their migration up, especially as I mean, really and truly for the three-wheel kind of vehicles. I can use a warehouse. I don't need fancy you know, super deluxe building. I can use a warehouse. I can reconfigure that type of an operation, and away we go. It should be a piece of cake. So you've got the look, you've got the manufacturability. It's going to be a low-cost product to build. I'm guessing that your biggest problem is going to be how many are you going to be able to push out the door, and how fast are you going to make that happen? That's a good problem to have.
A good problem to have, exactly. We share the sentiment.
The added capital expenditure required to bring four-wheeled vehicles to market significantly increases the cost to consumers for the end product, reduces the profit margins for the company, and makes it much harder for them to scale up manufacturing, let alone attain profitability. By instead starting with a high-margin three-wheeler, they can use their profitability to fund the development of their four-wheeled vehicles, without necessarily having to raise additional capital externally. This affords them a margin of safety and independence. Reading between the lines, I believe Aptera has already done some preliminary design work on their four-wheeled sedan, and they will learn a lot more from manufacturing their first vehicles. Moving to four wheels will sacrifice some efficiency, but it will allow them to appeal to a much larger audience, and more effectively fulfill their long-term goals. Here is a snippet of an interview with Steve Fambro and Chris Anthony from February of last year, where Chris talks about their future vehicles.
So this is the version that we're working on now of the Aptera, but this is a four-wheeled version, which is still very aerodynamic, still very lightweight, and still has the same efficient powertrain technology, but it seats 5 people instead of 2 people.
Okay, 5 person.
So that's what we plan to do, is develop our platform technologies with the 3-wheeler, which is aerodynamic, lightweight, efficient powertrain, and then take those 3 things and then put them into 4-wheelers, utility vehicles, all the way up to semi-trucks. Everything can be made lighter weight, everything can be made more efficient.
I highly recommend watching the rest of this interview on Rajal Uswal's channel. I'll put a link to it in the description below and a card on the end screen. It is really cool to see how far Aptera has come since this interview 1 year ago. At that time, all they had was a handful of parts and the hope to have a working prototype built by March or April of 2021. Fast forward to November 2020, and they had already completed building their first working prototype, 4 to 5 months ahead of schedule. This company has a history of innovation and quick execution. The company was initially founded in 2006 and had their first working prototype vehicle on the street in less than 2 years. Much of this can be attributed to their unique first principles approach to design and manufacturing, coupled with the benefits of going the 3-wheeled startup route as opposed to the 4-wheeled one. Many Aptera fans believe that Aptera would have started production in 2009 or 2010, 3 to 4 years after starting, if the unfortunate series of events that sunk the company had gone slightly differently, but that's for a different video. In comparison, Tesla was founded in 2003 and took 3 years to develop a prototype, and 5 years to reach market. I hope that you have found this video insightful and encouraging. If you haven't seen the full Sandy Munro interviews used in this video, I'd highly recommend watching them to learn more about the Aptera. There are links to them in the description. If you are interested in purchasing an Aptera, please consider using my referral link on screen or in the description to get $30 off of your fully refundable Aptera pre-order. If you'd like to invest in Aptera, there is a link in the description to Aptera's WeFunder page. Even non-accredited American investors can invest up to $2,200 per year into privately held companies on WeFunder. Chris Anthony, co-CEO of Aptera, has said that they plan on taking Aptera public within the next 2 years. So if you can invest a small amount of money into Aptera during the next funding round in March or April, I think it will turn out to be a good asymmetric risk-reward investment come IPO or SPAC time. It will either go up a lot or fail entirely, although I believe their odds of success are very good. In the future, I'll be releasing more Aptera videos discussing the addressable market for the Aptera's value proposition, Aptera's manufacturing process, and new developments regarding the Aptera. I will also cover other companies and investments that I am currently investing my money into or have high confidence in. Please subscribe if any of these subjects are of interest to you. Thanks for watching. Catch you on the next one.